So I try and answer all the comments, and some of them are very interesting. Even I learn things, maybe you can teach an old dog new tricks, or maybe I'm just not an old dog, because I'm learning a lot from you, and I appreciate the comments. Anyway, I thought I'd share some today. One of them, someone asked me why I switched from the circuit. They were looking at the circuit, and what was my attraction to that, or what didn't I like about it. I love my circuits. I have two of them, and if I was going to carry a heavier load, I would take those out. But for me, a few things. Number one, I want a lighter pack. I saved quite a few ounces with that thing, like maybe 10. And as I get older, I want to get lighter so I can keep walking. The other thing, I like the fact that it's a little more waterproof, like sil nylon compared to my XMID that I just bought, the polyester, that doesn't soak up water. In the morning, that makes a huge difference. When I get up and it's wet, which is quite often, I'm carrying that water weight till I dry it out. And I don't like DCF, but the polyester seemed to take care of that issue. And the same thing with the pack, that Ultra 200. I've been interested in that ever since I first read about it, and was waiting for a pack that I really liked that used it. And then the Kakwa 40 came along, and it had clicked a lot of boxes for me. So I wanted a framed pack still, and a lot of packs as I got smaller went frameless. I didn't want that. I like the material. It's like a third recycled water bottles or something, but I just really like the material now that I've had the pack and have been able to deal with it. It keeps a really nice shape. Again, all my gear is shrinking in size, so I don't need the real estate, and so I can get a smaller, lighter pack, not give up a thing. Everything fits in that pack. So those were some of the things, but nothing against the circuit. I've had that circuit for years. It's done the job. It has lasted. The material has lasted. It's a great pack, and if that fits your budget, if it fits your needs, I would go for it. So in the video on peanut butter, powdered peanut butter, and the differences, I mentioned I love pad thai, and my pad thai was basically ramen and powdered peanut butter. And I did get a comment that said coconut cream powder, game changer. Well, again, hopefully I'm not an old dog, because I ordered some of that. That sounds like a great plan, and I'm sure it's very good. A little pricey, but I don't know how much I need to put in there to give me some pizzazz, but I'm always looking for pizzazz in my meals on the trail. So I'm gonna try that. Thanks for sending that comment in. So I did get a comment on the fact that Gossamer Gear sells an umbrella attachment, which is a clamp and a tie out, and I did see that. I think there's other things on the market, but since I came up with these hydration clips years ago, I just had some hanging around, and again I put like 3 on, and I found out I only needed 2, and it's always worked out well. So my theory is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not switching, but there may be a reason for that tie, but to me it's a drawback. When a gust of wind comes up, or I want to put it on or take it off quickly, I've got to mess with a tie. I don't want to do that. With my clips going in opposite directions, bing bang, it's off. And if I want to put it back on again, I just weave it back in there, and it's quick off, quick on. I don't want to be tying anything, but I'm not saying that's not a good idea. I don't know why Gossamer Gear, if they have a clamp up here, why they went to a tie. Maybe they wanted to secure it better, but they could have put a second clamp, the same one they have up here down here, and I think it'd be just fine. But to me, having it tied in place when you need to get rid of it in a gust or something is a drawback. But hey, whatever floats your boat. I appreciate the comment anyway, and I have seen those, and I think other companies have those kind of things. So if you're gonna, go to an umbrella or make a change, you might want to study all the options. That's what it's all about. Find out what works for you and then go for it. Another comment was with my XMID one-person solid I just bought. the real estate it takes up, is that going to be a problem? Well, I compared it in the video, had my Hilleberg set up right next to it. And while I'm on that subject, let me just say I love Hilleberg. I love the company. I love the customer service. I love that tent. Again, I was just trying to lose some ounces. So between the pack and the tent, I've lost probably close to 2 pounds. And the footprint is going to be a learning experience for me, and it's just going to take experience. It's going to take trips, but I tend to hike until dark, and that gets me in trouble a lot because early in the evening I'll come to a beautiful spot to set up my tent, lots of space, but I am an optimist that further up the trail I'm going to find something better, and sometimes I'm in steep, timbered, rocky areas where I know I should stop, but again I think I'll find something. And so a lot of times those are really small little areas, and if it comes down to it, I've just cowboyed camp if I didn't find a spot to put up my tent and weather and bugs permitted. But most of the time I'm gonna find a spot even for that. The only difference is it doesn't taper at the ends, so it is a full 66 inches on each end. And that is an issue, but it's something I'll deal with. I like the tent. It's doing everything I hoped it would do, and I'm gonna just give it some time. Another comment I had was about shock cord. What size do I use? I use 1/8 inch because that's what I had, but you could use whatever. You can order it on Amazon, get a rainbow of colors and sizes, but I've always used 1/8 inch. It worked great on my Kakwa pack. The question was, how did I weave that through? Well, there are tie-outs on 4 corners of that front pocket, and the 1/8 inch shock cord went easily through that. So I just weaved it into an X, and then I ran the top edge around to the front of the pack where Durston has a cord with an adjuster on it, so you can tighten, loosen that. But I don't, I just leave it loose. I want the shock cord. I don't like the fiddle. When I get up in the morning, that tent's the last thing I have to deal with. My pack's ready to go. I just have to shove my tent and my umbrella in that pocket, so I can just pull that cord over and snap it, and I'm good to go. So on the tent tie-outs, again, I showed you how it stretches quite a bit, so you got some range to find a good peg, soft ground or whatever to peg your peg out in, and it keeps rock that I put on top of that peg away from my tent, away from my stitching. It's going to be blowing at night. That rock is not going to be rubbing against that tent or that stitching. So, gram weenies probably aren't going to add that cordage, but to me, it's well worth the wait, and give it a shot if you think it'll work for you. Keep smiling.